On day 3. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming out. We are very excited to finally talk movies with a crowd full of people. And when I realized the panel that we were going to have for today, the people up here, I was like freaking out that I was going to get to talk movies with them. Just as excited as you guys are to watch this, I'm way more excited to get to talk movies with these guys. With all that said, let's introduce each of ourselves. Who's this guy down here?
I'm Chris Parker.
What's your YouTube channel?
Oh, YouTube at 3C Films.
Very cool.
Cody Leach.
Sean Chandler. Sean Chandler talks about. Austin Burke.
What's up? Yeah.
And
I'm the
down
Flick
here, the
Pig.
legend.
You can call me John Flickinger, whatever you want to call me.
Legend.
So we've got some topics lined up to discuss. It's going to be good times. And then afterwards, we'll do a meet and greet right over here. First topic of the day, I opened up my Twitter feed and they announced Morbius 2 Morbin Time is coming out next April 1st. Very excited about that. 3C, what's your take?
April Fools.
Yes.
They
They
don't even want to imagine it.
the big day for April Fool's Day. How many bad jokes are going to happen all throughout the panels today? But anyway, first topic of the day. Over the last 2 months, we've had 2 comic book movies come out that kind of were a little bit of a fizzle. One of them was an absolute disaster coming out of the gate. Other one looked kind of strong and then really fizzled out. Are comic book movies dead? Let's start this one off with you, Cody, because I know you have some strong opinions on this one and feelings as to the last 2 comic book movies we got.
I like how you set me up as like the negative side, and then we're gonna move
Exactly.
up from there.
It's because you're honest and passionate.
There we go. I wouldn't say comic book movies themselves are dying, but our standards are getting a little bit higher. So for the longest time, Marvel was on this consistent streak where everything that they did, even if it was mediocre, it was like, but it was still pretty good. You know, we're still getting good comic book films. DC, no matter whether you love it or hate it, no question, they've had a lot of issues. And so now we're at this time where there's this giant shuffle on the DC side. What used to be Fox, X-Men, Deadpool, all of that, non-existent for now. And then Marvel, I feel like, has gotten into this very complacent stage where they don't have any competition. And they've had nothing but box office and critical success no matter what. Great movie, good movie, mediocre movie. And so now, because we've had 2020, 2021, we had 95 Marvel projects last year.
I think it was 97 was the specific number.
Yeah. So between just the oversaturation and the nothing, well, a few things, but mostly nothing really standing out, I think it's just starting to get a little bit redundant for us.
What about you, 3C?
To me, it's weird to say that they're dying because I feel like as long as kids are being born, there's always going to be superhero movies and that people are going to love them. Like, you know, you went through the Western era of Hollywood, you went through the vampire era of Hollywood and all that. Like, I don't see comic book movies dying out as long as there's a kid wanting to put on a cape and eventually grow up to be here at places like this. But it is the oversaturation that I have to agree with Cody. It's like, Shazam, I like Shazam too. I didn't think it was bad.
Me too.
What people were hating on it, but it was fine. And people just don't want fine. They want Endgame, crowd cheering, clapping, cameos, and that's hard to replicate. That took 10 years of build-up.
I'll just take the Batman 2, Batman 3.
It's like, I'm not tired of comic book movies. I'm tired of bad comic book movies. I'm tired of mediocre comic book movies. I want something fresh. That's why the Batman last year, to me, was fresh. And then this year you get to kind of, that's the same old thing, right? And then Dungeons and Dragons comes out. I'm like, that's better than both of those. That had no right being that good. So maybe Guardians, maybe Spider-Verse, I expect it to get better, but inevitably there's going to be so much inconsistency because there are so many. It's saturated right now.
Yeah, I don't think they're dying out. I just think they're getting worse with every single new one that we get. I like the Batman, don't get me wrong. But I think when it comes to Marvel, there's a reason it was called Endgame, because after that, what did we get? We got Thor, Love and Thunder, and Screaming Goats.
Yeah, that was the best, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's it. I'm good. That's all I had.
John's done.
Right. And it's interesting to think that that's the conversation kind of being had on Twitter, because Spider-Man No Way Home only came out a year and a half ago. That movie killed it. That movie was awesome. All of us were in the theater like, yeah! I took my kids to go see it opening night, and they're under 10. And so I've shown them the Raimi films, but they don't get it. They don't get the nostalgia. And so we're in the theater. Spoilers, if you're the one person on earth that hasn't seen No Way Home yet. That portal opens. Andrew Garfield walks out. Toby walks out. My theater goes nuts, and my kids are like so thrilled to be in the room with so many happy people, and they go, "What's going on?" And they had no idea what was happening in the room. That was only a year and a half ago, and I think the novelty of just generic cameos is gone. The novelty of CGI spectacle, it's gone. The novelty of team-ups, it's gone. Those of you that remember when Iron Man 2008 came out, post-credit scene, Nick Fury walks out. If you had read the Ultimates and he says Avengers Initiative, oh, my wife goes, why is Samuel Jackson suddenly in the movie? But everyone else, oh! Just the novelty of that was incredible that they might do that. And then they pulled it off 10 years straight, escalating it. But that was 15 years ago.
Well, to me, it's a trope thing. It's the shtick, right?
Yeah.
You had everyone coming together for the first time. Oh, that's really cool. What is it now? It's the multiverse. Everyone's got a variant of everyone, and now we have the Flash. And that could be the one to turn it around. But what if it's not the one to turn it around? So then it's like, oh, we're getting tired of the multiverse thing, right? So I like outlandish and different, but when you take that and you do it for 10 movies in a row, then it just becomes the same old thing.
So what do you think they need to do to kind of raise the excitement again?
To raise the excitement, honestly,
Or is there a project
I hate the idea of like people said just reboot it after Endgame or whatnot, but like we all know Secret Wars is coming up, and comic book fans know that was almost a reset in the comics where they could bring Miles Morales into the main continuity, have him be there with Peter Parker who's not dead and whatnot. Like I feel needs to be some sort of reset because we got Fantastic Four coming up. I want to see Fantastic Four interact with a Tony Stark, but you can't interact with his burial grave. That's not going to be a fun scene.
I'd rather watch that than Quantumania.
It's hard to say like what would fix it because even I don't know. But in Kevin Feige, I do trust.
I say I trust Kevin Feige. I don't trust Disney. And so if Kevin Feige's bosses are crazy as can be and demanding 1 million projects per year, he's spread too thin. So his magic doesn't work if he can't really apply it to every project. And if you have to greenlight things that he's half-hearted about and can only give a quarter of his time. So that's the thing that if maybe with Bob Iger coming back and be like, hey guys, that didn't work. Let's hit the brakes. I think maybe we could get back to it if Kevin Feige can get everything his time again. What do you think what would excite you again?
Well, you mentioned Iron Man. You take away that post-credit scene, would you still consider Iron Man an awesome movie?
Yes.
That's what I want to get back to. It's not the novelty of, but somebody might show up in the last 30 seconds, or you're going to get to see Spider-Man shake hands with Doctor Strange. Yeah. Black Adam came out. Did anybody know anything about Black Adam the last 2 weeks besides, guess who might show up at the post-credit scene, guys? And then that went. So my hope is that they go back to just telling great stories and not worrying about going epic scale, not worrying about multiverse, not worrying about 50% of the movie's a good story. 40% of it is set up for the next 5 years, and 10% of it is cameos. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping James Gunn comes into DC, gets back to storytelling, and then we get the reverse to where DC wanted to copy Marvel for a while, and now Marvel is going to go, oh, so stories is where you guys want. Elseworld stuff, that works. Okay, cool. Rated R Marvel films.
Yes.
I'll say this, as much as I've been complaining about comic book movies, I'm just talking about the last 2 that came out. Look at the next 3 we're getting. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Across the Spider-Verse, and The Flash. And those are like my 3 most anticipated movies of the rest of the year. So as much as I'm complaining about some of this stuff, it's just they've had a little bit of a soft spot. A couple, especially Marvel last year, had a bad year. Guardians, that can turn it around. Across the Spider-Verse, that can turn it around.
Well, they are slowly implementing changes, right? They pushed back the Marvels 6 months. There are some people that used to be a part of the
That's your most anticipated.
It's not, but maybe. Maybe they pushed it back because it's terrible, but maybe they pushed it back because they want to work on the visual effects, and we don't need a repeat of the quantum realm in Quantum Mania. So that's kind of my hope. They're doing this for a purpose, and maybe it works out. Maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping with like the box office flop of Black Adam, they return to form. Maybe they're going to learn from their mistakes and fix them along the way. That's my only hope.
With that said, comic book movies, that's like the hottest genre right now that everybody watches those movies. But I know as creators, one of the things we're usually excited about is when we can point people to the less obvious things. So everybody knows Guardians 3 is coming out, but it's always fun when we can introduce someone to something more interesting. So with that said, I want to pass it over to Cody to kind of take the lead on this next section.
Yeah, so that's my absolute favorite thing about what I do is, meeting everybody is awesome. Getting everybody to talk movies and everything is awesome. Being able to work for myself is great. But the moment when somebody comments back and says, I've never heard of this movie before. Thank you for introducing it to me. I love it. And I would have never heard of it if I didn't hear you talk about it. That's like the best moment of gratification for me. So I wanted us to talk about just some hidden gem films. One that I'm going to give you right now. Where's my horror fans? I'm going to need more. You guys go get 5 each and come back. All right. So one that you guys might not have heard of from the horror genre is a film called Session 9. It's a TV movie. It definitely has some TV budget to it here and there. It's the guy that went on to direct The Machinist and The Call with Halle Berry. Both of those, unfortunately, both better known than this one. But it's a asbestos cleanup crew. They get assigned to clean up an abandoned asylum. And if you like old school horror films that get under your skin just with atmosphere and just with the way that they film the setting and the eeriness of just nothing happening, just the sound of a reel of a tape as a guy is listening to 9 different sessions of this schizophrenic person that murdered their entire family. If that sounds appealing, please check that one out. So
Sit it down.
On a lighter note, I would say this is my uncut movie or a deep cut movie would be the second best John Hughes movie that he never directed. It's a comedy movie from the early 90s called Dutch.
I endorse everything he's about to say.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's about an asshole little kid getting home to going home for Thanksgiving, and Ed O'Neill is his father, his stepfather, and he teaches this kid a life lesson along the way. I enjoy it. I relate to it. I love it. So check it out.
Every Thanksgiving, my family has 2 films we have to watch: Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and then Dutch.
Are those the 2 Thanksgiving movies that exist?
Yeah.
Probably.
How many of you have heard of Lexington, Kentucky? Woo! Yeah, nobody, right? That's my hometown. The movie that I'm about to talk about actually takes
Cocaine
place.
Bear?
Yeah, Cocaine Bear's in Lexington, Kentucky. He's stuffed at a random store. I went and saw him and took a picture next to him. It was cool. But this movie is all about a heist that took place in the town that I live in at Transylvania University. Sounds like an old Gothic thing. But no, this is a legit college, and it's a fascinating true story. But what this movie does, it's called American Animals. It was my number 2 of, I believe, 2018. And it stars Evan Peters and Barry Keoghan, who just got nominated for an Oscar. So these are big stars, but back in the day, they weren't as big, right? They go in and they basically try to execute a bank heist at this college, a group of 4 guys. It's great. But the thing about this movie is it's also a documentary. So you get the interviews with the 4 individuals that were a part of it, and you get to see the repercussions of what happened. But then you get the actual scripted moments of the bank heist. And when I watched that, I said, I've never seen a documentary combined with a thriller, and I thought it was a phenomenal movie, but it was produced by MoviePass, and MoviePass died, so the movie bombed. No one likes MoviePass, but if I had one recommendation, it would be American Animals. I think it's one of the best movies of that year, and it's fantastic.
All right, my recommendation literally led to like one of the first significant fights in my marriage. That's how potent this movie is.
Great.
Probably overselling it a little bit and suggesting that maybe I'm a terrible husband. So, Halloween, first year I'm married, put on this movie called Frailty. It's got Matthew McConaughey. It's got Bill Paxton, who also directed it, Powers Booth. And it's basically this story where it's kind of told in flashbacks where this dad basically says that God has told him to kill demons, and he recruits his children to track down these demons to kill them. But the demons just look like people. So the whole movie is you're like, is this guy crazy or is he killing demons? And he's having his kids kill people. My wife does not handle that kind of psychological horror at all. And so I learned a thing about her. I also learned what movies I should not show her to have a happy marriage. So we have not rewatched Frailty for a date night in the last 15 years.
Travesty.
But that's the type of movie it is that it actually kind of gets in your head and you're like, oh, that is weird. That's freaky. And it actually freaks you out. It keeps you guessing, suggests all the different paths. And like I said, it's also like has a phenomenal cast in there.
Yeah, to me, I want to pick one that like I thought was once a deep cut, but like thanks to streaming, because we all think, we love the movie theater experience, but streaming can sometimes be useful for those movies that didn't get attention. And right now, trending on it, I believe, is one called ICU. It came out in 2019.
It's #1 ahead of Murder Mystery 2. It's crazy.
And I'm so glad people are finally checking it out, because it was a movie I dismissed for the longest time because the poster is like this weird frog mask, and it just gave you vibes of a low-rate slasher movie. But I decided to pop it on because I'm like, why is this trending? Why is this good? And oh my God, this film, it'll keep you on the edge of your seat. So like, it's on Netflix, right? You can check it out. It's kind of dealing with these two friends who hop around houses. They sneak in and they try to live in a house while the other people who are owning the house don't know. And then things just get weird. There's twists and turns. You go from loving a character to hating that character, to then hating him so much you don't realize how you could then like him. And at the end, I thought it was just great. And I was like, I'm glad it got a second chance just because of Netflix existed, because this was a movie I heard no one talking about years ago.
It's wild how that works with the recommended on Netflix, and out of the blue, some random movie, Dragged Across Concrete, this movie Cody and I liked from about 5 years back.
Great movie. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Like slow burn from this director that I love his style. Nobody saw it back when it came out. And then it was like #1, #2 on Netflix for a week. There's another recommendation. Dragged Across Concrete, Brawl in Cell Block 99, and Bone Tomahawk, all from the same director, all slow burns, and all at some point in time you're going to go, whoa, oh, out of nowhere. It gets so gory, violent, and you're disturbed for the rest of your life from what you saw.
We doing more?
Did you have another one for us?
I'm going to give one more since we're on the spirit of holiday comedies that are underrated. So after you get done watching Dutch this Thanksgiving, and that is your homework assignment, when we turn back around to Christmas Day, check out a movie called The Ref with Dennis Leary. It's Dennis Leary as this cat burglar. The cops are circling in on him, so he takes a volatile married couple hostage. The married couple played by Judy Davis and Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And so basically you have Dennis Leary at his most Dennis Leary taking these two people hostage, and he somehow becomes the victim because they just bicker the entire movie. It's one of those really raunchy, profanity-fueled, rated-R holiday films. So if you like things like Bad Santa, to kind of
kids do.
Yes, there you go. Parenting. If you like things like Bad Santa to kind of balance out the Jingle All the Ways and everything like that, check out The Ref.
Nothing better than a Christmas kidnapping.
There you go.
Yes, that's what we do every Christmas too.
That's what Uncle Eddie does too.
Exactly.
Christmas vacation.
All right, next topic. Summer is actually getting very close. The summer movie season's about to kick off. So with that, we wanted to kind of, what are our most anticipated movies of the summer? I'm sure we're going to overlap a little bit. So if someone says one that you're excited about, we can all kind of chime in on it. And then if we could say one that's like a mainstream film, and then if you can say one that's like a deeper cut, something that's a little bit more interesting, because we all know the comic book movies and the Tom Cruise vehicles, but if we can help introduce people to some of that more interesting, smaller things too. Austin, if you want to kick this one off.
Yeah, so I'm really sick of superhero movies, but Across the Spider-Verse, to me, is the movie that I have been dying to see. I'm sick of cameos too, but there's a lot of pictures, photos, screenshots being released online, and I'm like, ooh, what's going to be the big thing in this movie, right? But beyond all of that, I thought Into the Spider-Verse was genuinely one of the best, if not the best, movie of that year, and it's one of those films that you can go back and rewatch. And what I've heard about this new one is it may just be better than the first. So I love Spider-Verse.
So I have a friend that goes to a lot of test screenings out in LA.
Ooh.
He's seen it.
Oh, Sean, come on, tell me.
He said it was amazing.
Okay, thank God.
Everything you want me to say of
Oh, my
like
God.
positive feedback about this movie,
I feel good.
my guy has seen it and he raved about it.
That's a relief. That makes me feel better. Good.
So you excited for that one?
Oh, I'm excited for that. And you know what? The Flash. It's got so much going against it.
Yes.
But it's a freaking Flash movie, man. Like I was a kid watching DC make Watchmen and Birds of Prey, and I'm like, where's
I was
your
a kid
Flash?
watching DC make Batman '89. I'm old.
I was a kid watching DC make Batman and Robin.
I was watching George Clooney with nipples.
Now you learn how old each of
Yeah,
us are
that's
based
true.
off which
That's
DC
true.
movie we grew up with. Sorry to
But
cut
I'm
you off.
just like, man, a Flash movie. Finally, we get one, and it sucks it's boggled down with all this outside drama. But Michael Keaton Batman, my childhood Batman, that I don't know.
Yes,
how-
yes.
and all that, and Ben Affleck in there, and all this stuff, and it sucks that you're like, is this even gonna matter in a couple years when James Gunn does something else? But I'm just wanting to see that movie, man.
Like after a whole year of headlines exclusively about Ezra Miller doing the latest insane thing, you kind of forgot Michael Keaton's in this freaking thing.
Yeah.
And then that trailer aired, and I was excited for it, and it hit every single note I wanted it to hit. And then he stands there, and the shot lingers way too long in the absolute best way possible. And then you get an old man Keaton. I'm Batman. Perfect. Everything. And I love that trailer. Who wants to go next?
I'm going to go with this year's #1 Oscar contender. It's called the Barbie movie.
Yes.
Oh, dude. honestly,
And
yeah.
listen,
that
as
makes
a dude,
two of us.
that's something I never thought I would say. But when I saw Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie in there just having a good time, looking all plasticky and shit, I was like, take me there right now. But my second choice beyond that would probably be Oppenheimer. I have a love-hate relationship with Nolan. People who like Tenet. No one. Okay, me neither.
I liked it,
So I'm
John.
hope-
Okay.
I hope he returns to form with Oppenheimer. Take me there. Give me something cinematic, epic, immersive.
Is it true he built an actual atomic bomb to blow up a city for this movie?
Yes.
I hope. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah.
That's commitment. That is cinema.
I think he's
right
using the same bomb he did in The Dark Knight Rises,
there. Nice.
if I'm not mistaken.
But, yeah, the Barbie trailer, that was
Yeah.
fascinating. For a Barbie, aimed at like elementary age children. I have an elementary age child. The trailer is based off 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh yeah.
Like the number of people that watched it was like, that's kind of interesting, and didn't realize this is based off a 55-year-old Kubrick movie. My daughter's like, why are they throwing the Barbie in the air? Why are they like banging on the ground? What's this music? I was like, all right, tonight's family movie night, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I can't wait to see the look of disappointment on every little girl's face after she watches the Barbie movie with Ryan Gosling. It's not going to be what they expected.
But back to Nolan. Who in the room is excited for a new Christopher Nolan film?
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, like at his worst, it's
He made
still
Tenet.
super interesting. Like it's an ambitious. Like he tried to do something. It was like, that didn't quite work. But he actually tries to do interesting things, and most of the time he knocks it out of the park. So yeah, new Nolan film.
When you can hear the dialogue, it's great. Yeah.
So I went to go see Tenet with a friend of mine. We're sitting next to each other, and I get out, do my review, and I couldn't understand a word anyone said the entire movie. And then my friend, he watches my review, he goes, really? I could understand everything. It's like, it just sounds like I have hearing loss. Maybe. But half the internet's like, I couldn't hear it. The other half are like, what are you guys talking about? All right, who hasn't said their movie yet?
That would be me. So,
What do you got for us?
getting away from the comic book films, my most anticipated the rest of the year is easily Mission Impossible.
Is that your deep cut film? I haven't heard of this before.
That's my deep cut. That's my shallow cut.
Woo.
That's everything. So yeah. So you got Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, I believe is the name of the title. Next Tom Cruise movie. We'll just call it that. They could market it as that. So like, not only is Mission Impossible just an awesome franchise, because almost without exception, it just gets bigger and better, and it's astounding. It's one of those few. But we're still riding the high from Top Gun Maverick. Like one of two films last year where it's like, drop what you're doing, go back to the theater. And all they've done that I've seen to advertise this movie is like, look at this stunt that Tom Cruise is doing. He's going to dive off of a cliff on a motorbike and go into a a jump with a
Do you
parachute.
think in 1 year, the two movies with the craziest leading actors, it's dudes in their late 50s? At least. I don't know what exactly age Cruise was when he shot this, but he's 60 now. And Keanu Reeves, 58 years old, just doing the insanest stunts, rolling down steps, driving motorcycles off of cliffs. Men in their late 50s.
When you're having a midlife crisis, just jump off of something tall. That's my plan.
Did you guys want to do that tonight as kind of an outing, jump off a building?
Okay.
But it's a question to the room. Anyone in this room wasn't really into the Mission Impossible movies until Top Gun last year? What if kind of the younger people? You know, like that? I'm curious about that. If like Mission Impossible is going to get a boost from Top Gun Maverick, because that was such a big hit, and I know so many people prior to that movie coming out. A lot of my audience were like, "Yeah, I'm never not really interested," and then they're like, "Oh, that was great." So I'm curious how that's going to affect.
I believe that was the trailer premiere was before the Top Gun screen. They premiered the world trailer and and I was already excited about it. But people who had never seen the other movies, they watched Top Gun Maverick and they're like, hey, remember that trailer for that new Mission Impossible movie? Let's go watch the entire franchise and get excited. So I think it's going to help it big time.
Except for the second one.
Yeah, I don't like the second.
When he has a
It's not
mullet,
good.
skip over that one.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah.
You don't like the John Woo slow-mo?
I didn't say that. I just don't like his haircut in the movie.
Oh.
It just throws me off, man.
So you don't like 4 either then?
All right, did we all
right.
go, or am I saving the last obvious one? So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is coming out. It's like, it's only a month away, and we get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, James Gunn's farewell to Marvel before he takes over DC. And it seems like they actually give him control. That's like him, Ryan Coogler feel like they actually get to direct their movies. Everyone else, it feels like it's directed by the Marvel committee. And I had my issues with Volume 2, but not in a way that made me cynical or skeptical towards the third movie. And then that holiday special came out. My family watched that like 10 times. Like we watched it like 2 times a day for a week straight. And even my 4-year-old loved it. And she like I have a video of them screaming along to the Christmas song at the beginning of it. It's incredible. And it made me realize just how much I love those characters and spending time with them. And I'm terrified about which ones of them are going to be killed off in this movie. Yeah. But it's coming. All right, with that said, let's kind of shift over to our deep cut recommendations, because you guys have already heard of every movie we just mentioned. So we're going to kind of send some movies for you to think about that maybe weren't on your radar. I'll kick it off. It's a movie coming out at the end of April. I'm cheating a little bit calling it a summer movie. It's called Sisu. It's a
That's how good it is. It makes
You cannot talk about this movie without choking.
Yeah, Sisu. We were in a CVS and I started talking about it, and then I also broke down laughing talking about it. It's a Finnish movie. I've heard it described as Finnish John Wick, where he kills Nazis.
Oh.
That's a pitch right there. And nobody had heard of this movie, and they ran the trailer in front of John Wick 4. And it's like, out of the blue, there's this guy just killing Nazis with a helmet, blowing them up and blowing up planes, taking out a plane with an axe. Woo! So that's my one. John Wick killing Nazis. I'm down for it.
Go that direction.
All right, this side of the table.
I'm going to go with Renfield. It comes out this April. Is that technically summer? I don't know the seasons when they start and stop.
As long as you're pointing someone to something smaller and interesting.
You know, all I need to say is it has Nicolas fucking Cage in it. We're sold. I'm done. He's a vampire once again. That's all I need. Suck some blood, Nicholas. I want to watch it.
Mine's boring. I like Oscar things. I'm an Oscar guy. There's a movie that premiered at Sundance. It's called Past Lives, and I think it's the best reviewed movie of the year so far, and it's releasing in June. It's about 2 friends who separated, and then 20 years later, they come back together and possibly fall back in love. Now, that sounds like, okay, but a lot of people are saying it could be this year's, like, not on the level of Parasite, but that surprise movie from another country that just shocks the world. Last year, I think it was All Quiet on the Western Front. So just keep that in mind as you go into the summer. If you want something smaller, more independent, and lower budgeted.
So I'm extreme in age, but I have the maturity of a 12-year-old.
Same, man.
Is this a movie that I'll be able to enjoy?
I I don't know. I think it's a movie that its goal.
You're selling me on this.
wait, its goal
Do they
is
kill Nazis?
is to
How
be.
many Nazis die in this movie?
There is a possibility that happens. I don't know, but I truly believe it could be one of those really nice independent movies, and you could see it slide into a Best Picture, which it doesn't. Who cares about that? But you could see it slide into Best Picture next year.
Interesting.
Is it?
I don't know. I need to see this trailer. If you loved it, sometimes
You're talking me out of it, man. Don't
should
go
check
see
out
it.
Sisu.
Never mind. Don't go watch it.
So I just got enlightened about this movie last night. I was trying to find a deep cut. There's a film coming out. It's expected late July called Sympathy for the Devil. It's got Joel Kinnaman, who I've always thought was really underrated, guy that played Rick Flag. He was in The Killing, and Nicolas Cage. Premise: after being forced to drive a mysterious passenger at gunpoint, a man finds himself in a high-stakes game of cat and mouse where nothing is what it seems. And you click a little bit further, and it's a picture of Joel Kinnaman scared like this, and then Nick Cage in the most Nick Cage way, like, yes. That's all I need.
Yes.
Okay, one that I saw the trailer of that I never thought I'd really be interested in. So it's called The Blackening. It's coming out June 16th. The premise is a group of black friends are all at a cabin. A killer is there, and he says, I'm going to kill the one of you that is the least black. And it plays on horror tropes. So just like I like Scream because of its meta-ness and playing into the rules, it plays up on, what black characters have been like in horror movies. And you think that kind of sounds ridiculous? Watch the trailer and tell me you're not laughing your butt off with the way they're playing onto the horror and the comedy aspect. I think that's always something so difficult to do, but that trailer got me so interested in that movie. So The Blackening.
Stop and think about this summer. What we didn't mention. Indiana Jones, new movie coming out. One of my favorite franchises, one of my favorite characters. And it's from James Mangold, director of Logan, obviously fantastic. Ford vs. Ferrari, favorite movie several years back. That didn't make one of our lists. Got the Little Mermaid. I've got a Little Mermaid lower back tattoo. Little Mermaid's.
I've seen it.
Really
that's
lower.
true.
I want to see it.
He has flounder somewhere else, but I can't tell
Show
you.
me, Sean.
Yeah, that's later, and also for that OnlyFans account we're talking about.
Yes. Oh,
So,
boy.
Little Mermaid's coming out. I'm pointing to you as if you're the only person I'm talking to.
Hi, everyone.
My guy that goes to the test screenings also has seen The Little Mermaid. He saw it back in the December, and he got out of the theater. This is not a guy that's like, oh, Disney movies. That's not like his default energy or anything. He gets out of the theater, texts me, this movie's going to make $1 billion. He said the crowd went nuts for it. Now, I know the internet has all sorts of opinions on this movie. Yeah. I understand that there's way too many of these Disney live-action remakes. So, gotcha. All I know is I know a guy that saw it, and he said it's a crowd pleaser. Also, as someone that has kids and grew up during the Disney Renaissance, those movies are just nostalgia bait. All of us, people my age, take our kids to go see all of them. We got a Fast and the Furious movie coming out. There's a Pixar movie coming out. There's so much stuff coming out every single week from now until like the end of the year. It is wild, wild, wild. Where are we out of time? We got 9 minutes. All right. Next topic I want to ask you guys about. Your worst theater experience. You went to the movies, the weirdest, wackiest thing that's happened to you. Let's kick it off down here.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, it was 2007. It was a hot summer day. Was really looking forward to this movie. Went to the theater with all my friends. It was a little movie called Spider-Man 3. I don't know if you've seen it. Okay. Did you like it? Oh, you're not going to like the story.
My 10-year-old son loves it and does the dance
So
all the time.
Packed auditorium, went in. Guess what? The AC's not working. 300 people, boiling room, 110 degrees, sweaty, hot dudes. And I'm sitting beside one who's eating a bucket of popcorn. And I don't think he ever learned the etiquette of like chewing with your mouth shut. So for 3 hours, I heard a guy, and then I saw Tobey Maguire dancing up there with eyeliner. I'm sweating. My one friend wanted to take his pants off. I said,
did you take your pants off?
Okay, I was the friend. And no, I did not. And then, if the movie was great, I would have, not that bad. But sweaty, hot, popcorn in my ear, man. It was one of the worst experiences of my life.
I told this story before, and I went on too long, so I'll condense it. There have been so many times where I've had to sit in the front row of a movie theater and just straight up, right? It's my fault. I go in and I get the ticket late. It's like, okay, I deserve this, right? But I had to do that once. I was in the second row. I'm looking straight up at the movie. My neck's hurting. My wife's complaining. I love you, honey. I hope you're watching. But and then you have somebody right in front of you that's on their phone with the brightness all the way up, and they're texting the whole entire movie. They didn't put it down, right? But beyond that, there's a group of friends next to me. And it was American Sniper. Like, what are you going to talk about in American Sniper? Oh, the baby's fake, right? But they're sitting over here giggling and cackling, like, oh, he's got a gun. He's going in to shoot the thing. And I'm like, shut up. Shut up. So there were some shushes towards those people, right? It was a little intense. But yeah, when you get an experience where all of those things come together, it's the worst thing ever, because this is our job. You don't want to be miserable. And that was miserable.
So this is actually recent. Last Saturday, I went to go see Dungeons and Dragons, and I was sitting next to the two worst audience members. It's these two guys. We go see this, and they had like a DJ start the movie. It was like cool, like this energy, it was a press event. And then they start the movie, and they open the exit door next to the screen. Bright sunny day, and they unload for 20 minutes while the movie started. So it wasn't the worst theater experience, but it was
bad.
Like, it was like, really?
Yeah.
This is a press screening, and you've got the door wide open. But worst one was Insidious, the Lost Key or whatever, the one that came out like 5 years ago. Before the movie starts, there's a row of high school boys sitting in front of me watching porn on their phone.
Oh,
so that's a nice, comfortable environment.
I'm sure it had a better storyline than the movie.
They did. And then during the movie, there's a part where there's a girl laying on a table. It's not in any way provocative or titillating or anything like that. It's just a girl on a table, and you can notice the curves, but it's not in any way meant to be enticing. And every time it would cut to her, they'd play some quote from one of these porns, and where everyone in the theater's like, "What's that sound?" And then went, "Oh, these creepy kids are oh god." And I was watching it to review it. This is the early days of my channel. Otherwise, I would have walked out and gotten the management. Like, I got to watch the movie. I don't want to miss anything. So, yeah, that was fun.
So I've told a lot of stories about cell phones and loud people, but my scariest theater experience, I went to go see Hell or High Water, and I had to go through Hell or High Water to see this damn thing because it was no local theaters. I had to go find like an independent place that was just playing it in this back little lot. And so I'm in the theater, me and my wife, and in the last 5-7 minutes of the movie, these two guys come in that have not been in attendance the entire time. One of them sits down at the front left corner. The other one goes and sits at the back right corner. I don't know if you think what I was thinking, but I was thinking, oh shit. And so me and my wife, I'm like, let's go. But the movie horror in me was not ready to leave the end of the movie. So that little thing that divides whenever you're walking down the hallway, that little angled felt thing, I'm just watching the movie like this. And I'm like, if I hear a bang, we're good. Just hang on. And so I watched the last 5 minutes of the movie like that. But yeah, that was rough.
Sorry about that.
Making it quick for me, it was a Saw movie. I don't remember which one, but it was a later entry.
Were people tortured to death?
Yeah.
Was there a big twist reveal at the end?
And it was one where the audience wasn't really there. So it was like 10 people in the theater, but the guy next to me was one of those people who likes to take off his shoe, is not wearing socks, so his feet, and the way he propped his feet up on the seat is so it was in my view the entire time I'm seeing the movie. So I'm seeing someone trying to chop off their arm to get away from Jigsaw while these toes are just there the entire time. It was so miserable. And I'm trying to enjoy my popcorn and I have to look at someone's untrimmed toenails and all that. Like, don't take your shoes off at the theater. That was mine.
Now I feel grossed out. It's like I'm smelling his feet
You win.
while you're telling the
that was
story.
gross.
All right, we got 3 minutes left. We're going to go down the line. Our pick for the best movie of the year thus far.
Oh.
We'll go back down the line. Our pick for the worst movie of the year thus far. Kicking it off down there. Best of the year thus far.
This far? Oh, man.
Three months in. There's not too many.
Yeah, I got two movies to pick from. I'm going to go John Wick 4. I think that was the ultimate cap off. I loved it. Gimme Keanu kicking ass, falling downstairs for 14 minutes. I'll take what I can get, man. I loved it.
Mine is John Wick 4, but I want to give a shout out to Air, the new Ben Affleck
Hey,
movie.
don't steal my pick.
I'm not going to steal, but I'll tell you what, this movie is everything you want it to be. I love a good dad film, right? But that worked really well for me. It's awesome.
So my number 1 and 2 of the year thus far, John Wick 4 and Air.
Yeah.
John Wick 4, I love action movies. That is just like a movie designed to give action fans insanity for 3 hours. And they pull off 3 hours of insanity. And then Air, like you said, it's a total dad movie. It's like talking about business and designing shoes.
Yeah.
And I don't normally like, a movie about shoes. I can't wait to check this out. It's funny and entertaining from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Chris Tucker's actually in a movie once again after
Amazing.
I miss Chris Tucker.
20-year hiatus. Everyone's funny. It's inspiring, and then it's interesting because you don't realize what Nikes were 40 years ago versus what they are now. So I thought it was great.
This is the best sales pitch for John Wick ever, because that's mine as well. That's the only movie that I've loved this year. So yeah, everything that you love John Wick for, to me, it delivered over the moon.
John Wick 4 is the best, but just to not repeat, give Dungeons and Dragons a try. I'm someone never played D&D, don't know the first thing about it other than what I see in Stranger Things. I was dreading to go see it to review it for my channel. I walked away really loving that movie, so give that one a chance.
All right, and then final question to kind of close things out. Worst movie of the year thus far.
Oh my God, dude. I don't have one. Sorry. I don't.
You've loved everything this year? Couldn't you just go at Quantumania?
God, what did I hate? Give me something.
We watch everything together.
I don't remember, man.
Hey,
Somebody
you
else go
guys
first.
go to the
Go
movies
first.
together all the time.
Did you guys ever see Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey?
I knew.
Yeah. Don't ever watch the Ever. Don't watch it. I'm sorry if anybody. Don't watch it. It's horrible.
I don't remember what years. What have I seen this year? It was the most disappointing though is 65. It's from the writers of A Quiet Place. It's Adam Driver punching dinosaurs, and it's only 90 minutes. And as a dad with kids that is busy all the time, 90-minute movies, I love it. And there's just nothing there. It's just as generic of a point A to point B movie as you can get. It was, why can't there be more to this?
I hate the fact that I'm trapped yet again into talking about Winnie the Pooh.
That's why we got to talk about it.
Join me.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about this one? How did the producers
Look on
feel
Twitter.
about your
You'll find
thoughts?
out what I thought about the movie. But no, yeah, that was by far the worst. I mean, I walked in expecting it to be bad, but when you pay $20 to see something, you're a little angrier. And yeah, not looking forward to that cinematic universe with Bambi and Neverland and Ninja Turtles and whatever the hell else they.
I am for the views.
Yeah.
He put out his thoughts out there, and the producer, directors of the movie all came after him because he didn't like the movie. How dare you not like our movie? Don't you realize we didn't have a budget? Like, dude,
We shot this movie in 8 days. I'm like, I would not tell that to anybody. But go ahead.
You cheated. You used that you got Winnie the Pooh in public domain to get people to watch your movie, and then you tried to be like, hey, we're just making an indie film. Come on now. So I didn't see it. I wanted to see it so I'd have something to like trash, but I missed it. What do you got down here?
Winnie the Pooh would have been my worst and all that, but I did a trade-off with my lucky lady who's over there, and she made me go watch Magic Mike Last Dance. I like the first two Magic Mike movies. I think they're actually pretty good. Last Dance was so unwatchable. It was Channing Tatum trying to turn stripping into a Broadway show. That was the movie.
Yeah.
It was unbearable.
It
Man.
has
Speaking of
Salma
that-
Hayek in it. There is no way it's worse than Blood and Honey.
Speaking of Magic Mike,
I have
at 3
support in
o'clock,
that.
we got another panel, Magic Mike show up on the stage. You guys game? Everyone game?
I don't know,
No.
man.
But so anyway, now I know a couple movies not to check out. Thank you guys so much for coming out here. Real quick before you go anywhere, I want Chuck's going to come up on stage. I'm going to grab a selfie with everybody. So if you guys on the outskirts can kind of tuck in a little bit. You guys on the stage, we're going to go right over here in front of the stage. So if you guys, while you're doing that, as soon as this is over, we're going to head over here for a meet and greet if you want to talk with us. But for the moment, we'd love to grab a selfie with you. So if you guys could, wrap around the stage, it'd be fun.